but I'll explain that to you guys after I finish my Nikki story. Uh, well, anyway, back to Nikki. Like I said, COVID, came. I remember in March and we all at work from home and she was in there. And she's like getting these pains and stuff. And I remember we said, look, just take the meds, that's what the doctor's saying. And unfortunately, they couldn't come out because obviously, as you know, when COVID hit at the beginning, it was really hard for everybody. COVID, you couldn't go to the hospitals, you couldn't go there, especially her being a very vulnerable patient. Cancer wasn't the best place to be. Obviously, it's a lot of phone calls to the Marsden or A&E department or Princess Alice. So they're saying, take this medicines, get this medicines. I remember going to Boots and trying to get stuff for her, and she was on fentanyl, morphine. Then they were giving her laxatives, laxidos. Her pain got so bad it came to the last resort. We had to call the ambulance, and I remember they took it in, but I couldn't come. They got to the Royal Marsden and they kind of said it looked like the cancer had spread to like the intestines basically in her nodes. So where she was taking all the morphine, was getting constipated. There was also the cancer had spread slowly and was causing issues. So she was just getting blocked and it wouldn't come out. Obviously that knocked us back. We were just thinking, we were from the kidney, like we said, and it spread to the back. We got rid of the kidney. The back tumor was still there, but we were trying to eradicate it with all the treatment and stuff. But now they said it spread to the intestines and stuff. And obviously she's in hospital. I can't go and see her. I've got only calls and stuff. You just have a hard time, breakdown. And it was just tough seeing her, not being able to be there. And then I'm just looking after my son and doing other bits, but she's just by herself, you know. Luckily, then I had to do an operation called, they put a stoma bag, so they made it like a hole in the stomach, so then the poo can come out without going through the whole bowel system. So obviously the nodes were blocking it, which helped, but obviously she had to learn a new thing where, put this bag on there, hole in the stomach. But she was there for a couple of months. She came back home, she was okay. But obviously the pain was hard, I think, due to not being able to take treatment while doing the stoma bag. And you only can start treatment when you're strong, in a sense, not once you've had an operation, because obviously she's had an operation. We couldn't start the treatment again, so it was just trying to maintain the pain. So they were giving him morphine, fentanyl, all these other, and then nerve medicines, gabapentin and all these other tablets. There's so many, I just can't remember all the names. And then it just started going into her head, She started, getting more panicked, more stressed. She had anxiety prior to this, She was a very anxious person sometimes, but on top of all that, what she's gone through is just unbelievable. And then I remember her parents luckily got a flight over when flights were available from the COVID the first time. Flew from Sri Lanka, came over, and I tried to help. And then, she was getting into some, praying, believing in God a lot more. God will help, which we always believe that He's a higher power. But then she started going a bit more, saying stuff weird, and we noticed that some of the stuff coming out from her wasn't that normal. We were just telling the doctors, and then the pain, she was still getting pain on the back, and it was hurting her, and she was just losing little bits of herself. And I remember one time she was just grabbed all of us, even my son, his arms, like, believe in God, believe in God. But the way she did it was like she was not herself. I remember we had to call again, my hospital, and say, look, something's wrong with her. She needs some help. We need some And I remember they took her in, and I couldn't see her, and I was like worried. I don't know what's happening. And I remember the next day they just called me to the hospital and go, "Sir, we know it's COVID, but could you please come in?" I was like, "All right, yeah, yeah, yeah." And you get that call and you think, "Oh, please no." And so she's not, something's happened bad to her. And we're walking in, speaking to the doctors and getting them, doing all the COVID Mars tests. You go in and then you're like, "Okay, yeah, Nikki's husband, Raj. Can you tell me what's going on?" And they're like, "Yeah, Nikki's had like a breakdown." What do you mean a breakdown? She's just tried to smash the window. She's on the floor at the moment. She won't sleep. She won't do stuff. And I literally walked into this room, and you can see they've covered the mirror with stuff. They boarded the windows, and then there's mattresses on the floor, and my wife's just on the floor, like scratching and screaming, like, "Where's the devil? Ah, you are. God's gonna punish you. Go away." And then random. And I was like, "What is going on here?" And it was literally like a movie. You watch these horror films and you're thinking, yeah, it's horror films, isn't it? These are just like, this is what you imagine, you perceive. Someone's thought about this from their head. But then actually seeing this, and I'm like, what's going on? And she didn't even recognize me. She was scratching, and then I'm trying to hold her or carry her, and it's like, you have to be forceful because she's tiny, a little girl. She was, only 50 kilos or nothing. And she was just going all crazy. And I was like, "Can't you give us what meds and stuff to give her?" And they didn't know what to do because they were giving her like some antibiotics that wasn't working, and they didn't know what was causing it. Was it from the treatment that she's already had, or is there something wrong with in her brain, or something happened? Something spread. You just don't know. And I just remember going every day for like a week or so, and seeing her in this condition. And finally, they kind of brought her down with treatment. They first thought it could be like a brain aneurysm, but in the end, they thought it's just part of the cancer from, and a virus and anxiety all mixed together with everything that she got, all those news. It just made, and obviously, you think about being locked away in hospital for 3 months during COVID, not being able to see her two boys, or now she's in hospital again, and it's just tough, isn't it? But it was unbelievable time, just crazy, Seeing my wife, who, it's not my wife in a sense, she's just there, skinny, on the bed, and sometimes you go in and she's on the floor, wiggling, moving, and I'm like, "Calm down, Nikki, calm down." And she's just saying weird stuff to me, and not even saying, gibberish and all that. But, and I remember when the doctors called me one time, and I said, "Look, if she continues with this, you need to sign over these our documents and say, by law, she's in mental state, she can't look after herself, and we'll have to take her, by this law thing." And I'm like, "What is going on here? She's my wife, I'm not." But they said, "No, but if she continues to not," and you're just hearing these doctors telling these things, and these therapists are coming in and saying, "Yeah, she's really bad," and you're like, poor girl's been through so much, and now you're saying these things. But luckily, they got down to the cause. It was, more of all the meds they were giving her on the fentanyls and the morphines and everything prior to the pain she had. Plus, because she had high fevers and stuff, they were giving her antibiotics, which was reacting with differently stuff. So they kind of got down to giving her different treatments to lower her down, and then she started getting better and getting back to her normal self. Again, she was in hospital for a while, a couple of months. But then I remember we got her back home, and then again it was the same, patterns. We were good times, bad times. Pain was still there because of the tumor at the back, but also now we had more of a spread. But again, they said, "Look, we can do the treatment, we can start it again." And again, treatment was going okay, in and out, in and out. It wasn't too much growth, but there wasn't as much recovery as well. And then, like I said, it came to this year, the same thing. She was in and out of hospitals, going through stuff. And even up to like 2021 August, she's going in and out of hospital due to like her liver functions were really high. She was always getting like fever temperatures. She was always getting symptoms basically of high fever. Um, her back was always hurting. She couldn't walk. Her liver was rate was really too high. Blood pressure, but just due to all the cancer and the treatment. But obviously they had to keep her in lots of times in hospital at the Royal Marsden. Obviously you can't visit. Towards the end, her stomach bag got smaller because she lost a lot of weight. She had to do another operation, I remember, in the Marsden, which made it a bit bigger, so we were happy. But then she had to go on is it a low, I forgot the name, a low fibre diet.